Good evening, and welcome to Seven Stories Up. We are delighted to have you all joining us tonight at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Library. My name is Melissa Schorer, and I'm a librarian here at SNFL. Before we begin, I would like to thank the Stavros Niarchos Foundation for making programs like this evening's conversation possible. I would like to encourage you to visit NYPL's website and take a look at upcoming programs like this one. We have an excellent lineup this season featuring new nonfiction, music, and much more, and we would love to have you join us in this space again. And it is now my pleasure to introduce tonight's speakers. Beejhy Barhany is a distinguished chef, author, and cultural bridge builder who uses food as a universal language to connect communities worldwide. She is the founder of the Beta Israel of North America Cultural Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering and celebrating the rich legacy of Ethiopian Jews, and proprietor of Tsion Café, an acclaimed Ethiopian Israeli restaurant serving as a nurturing community hub in Harlem. Her pioneering cookbook, Gursha, Timeless Recipes for Modern Kitchens from Ethiopia, Israel, Harlem, and beyond, made history as the first Ethiopian Jewish cookbook from a major American publisher and earned recognition among the New York Times Best Cookbooks of 2025. Gabriella Gershenson is a James Beard award-winning food writer and editor based in New York City. She is currently an editor at the New York Times Wirecutter. She was previously on staff at Saveur, Rachel Ray Every Day, and Time Out New York, and was a longtime contributor to the Wall Street Journal. It is now my pleasure to welcome tonight's guests to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this balmy and unseasonably warm evening. Beejhy, thank you for joining us in conversation tonight.
Sure, my pleasure. Welcome, everybody. So lovely to see you all.
So is everyone in this audience familiar with Cafe Tsion Café on the in Harlem? Okay, well, maybe we should start there because we have an amazing chef in our midst who runs a really delicious restaurant in our city. So can you tell us a little bit about Tsion Café?
Sure. Tsion Café was established in 2014 to celebrate my multifaceted cultural heritage. As you may know, I was born in Ethiopia. I grew up in Israel and currently finding New York City my home, and I wanted to bring all the flavors that represent those countries and traditions to Harlem, where I call it home. We've been doing it for 11 years, but we are not only a eatery. We do cultural showcases such as live music, as a art gallery to show work from different local artists and what have you. So it's a place where people can nourish their body and soul and beyond.
Can you give us an example of a typical meal at Tsion Café that might show the influences of Ethiopia and Israel and Harlem on a plate?
Sure. So it will go from injera bread with smoked salmon nova with a scrambled egg, yet with a Red Fox cocktail. You're wondering, Red Fox? Red Fox actually, throughout the Harlem Renaissance, in that particular venue, worked as a waiter together with Malcolm X. So back throughout the Harlem Renaissance, this particular venue, 763 St. Nicholas Avenue, used to be Jimmy's Chicken Shack. Throughout the heyday time of the Harlem Renaissance, this is where Billie Holiday will perform, Charlie Parker listening to the great pianist Art Tatum, and Red Fox and Malcolm X working in the kitchen. So to honor that, bringing all those historical components, yet Red Fox we created a cocktail with sorrel and vodka to honor him. As you may know, sorrel is a hibiscus drink, but infuse it with vodka, and we're honoring this legend that kind of helped throughout throughout the Harlem Renaissance and yet the civil rights movement. So as a Black and Jewish person, I felt the need to celebrate and honor those people who walked throughout the doors before me.
Do we want applause? Please, applaud.
But not only that, as you may know, at Tsion Café, the base, the foundation of it is Ethiopia, which means Ethiopian cuisine. You will find low-simmered chicken stew. No longer we kind of pivoted to be vegan, but we will serve our traditional chicken stew together with a cocktail or maybe a dessert from Yemen and Sudan. And this is the combination of the rich flavors of Africa or Jewish diaspora as well.
You contain multitudes. So I know Beejhy, and we've done events together before, and I'm always in awe of the richness of your personal heritage, and also how it's a reflection of the richness of the African diaspora, the richness of the Jewish diaspora. So perhaps we can talk a bit. Maybe we'll break it down a little bit first. Talk about your history as an Ethiopian immigrant to Israel, and then we can discuss your experience as an Ethiopian Israeli immigrant to the United States and specifically to Harlem, because I feel like your culinary story and your personal story are very much a story of what someone might call the Jewish diasporic experience, but it's also intertwined in equally the African diaspora. Are you guys all following me? Are you with me? Your book, first of all, if you guys all haven't seen her book yet, Gursha, I have mine, my sticky notes in here, some of my favorite parts, but it's a rich and beautiful personal story about Beejhy's experience as a chef, as a member of a family that immigrated from Ethiopia to Israel as an Ethiopian Jew. There's so much here, and I urge you to pick it up because it is just peerless. But perhaps, Beejhy, bring us to the beginning of your story in Ethiopia with your family.
Sure. Okay, it's going to be a long journey. But I come from an Asian Hebraic Jewish community in the northern part of Ethiopia, Tigray, whereas practicing ancient Jewish tradition. What I mean by that is the anticipation to welcome Shabbat was the whole great enthusiasm in the village. So you would see to celebrate Shabbat, the whole buzzing started since Thursday. So midday Friday, you will cease from any labor because the only thing you need to do is eat, celebrate, and give thanks for this particular day that we have, which is Friday, is Shabbat. That's the environment I was brought up in. Very simple, idyllic, peaceful environment where Jewish, Muslim, and Christian coexisted in Ethiopia, going back even to the time of Moses. So many of you probably heard of the story of Moses killing the Egyptian taskmaster, fleeing Egypt. And many times they will tell you that he actually fled to Midian, but in reality, he fled to Ethiopia, married an Ethiopian princess, and ruled there for 40 years. And we, the Beta Israel, Ethiopian Jews, are the direct descendant of Moses. So we very much, the celebration, the practice is very ancient Jewish. As you see, I say Hebraic. There was no term Jewish or Judaism at that time. So with the anticipation of Shabbat with great honor. What I mean by that is Shabbat is Shabbat. Saturday, you do not indulge any task or labor to the point, or you're not answering your phone. There was no phones back then, but to the point of you just relax, eat, and give thanks and observe the Shabbat. That's the environment I came from. And of course, the yearning for the return to the promised land, Jerusalem. Every Jew throughout the diaspora, what they want to fulfill at the end of the day is really to return to Jerusalem, Israel, and worship and celebrate Jewish unity as a whole. And among them were Ethiopian Jews. To many of you, maybe we were not the only black Jews in the world. There were Jews from Nigeria, South Africa, the Lemba in South Africa. So the Jewish faith is very much diverse than what many people will associate with. So I come from this particular ancient Hebraic tradition, tribe called Beta Israel, from the tribe of Dan as well. So this is my origin, this is my story. And in the early 1980, we literally left everything we had and started a journey to fulfill a prophecy to Israel. And that's where I end up growing up in Israel.
Well, I remember as a child growing up, there were very moving images of Ethiopian Jews coming to Israel and repatriating in Israel. And I'm curious, apart from this, heritage of returning to Jerusalem that you shared with us, what were some of the other factors that made your family, and you had a pretty large, extended family that ended up moving to Israel. What were some of the other factors that contributed to them leaving Ethiopia?
Yeah, the religious, the spiritual aspect of being among brothers and sisters from the Jewish diaspora, that's one thing. And of course, the first group of young students that immigrated to Israel, I would say there were students in the 1950s, and then my immediate relatives like Farada Aklum and my cousins immigrated in the 60s and 70s, and they kind of correspond with us, encouraging us to start on a journey to make the Aliyah to the promised land. And of course, it's not only one reason. At that point, there was a whole turmoil of uncertainty and instability in Ethiopia as well. It so happened that the Emperor Haile Selassie was assassinated by a coup by Mengistu Haile Mariam, and so there was civil unrest, a period, very dark period of time called the Red Terror. At that time, a lot of people, not necessarily Jewish, Muslim, and Christian, fled for their life, for their safety. Because if you had a different opinion, or you wanted to create some change, or you were educated, or what have you, you will be assassinated right away. So it was a whole movement as well. It so happened that my community, the village in Tigray, organized this exodus or journey a little bit before. That was a lot safer in order to make that journey. But otherwise, it was uncertain time, and many reasons that led us to this particular journey.
So you're in a new country with your family, and one of the things, since the book is anchored in your culinary heritage, you discuss how the resourceful women in your family learned how to cook their food without necessarily having access to the ingredients that they would have had.
Yes.
And probably also, I'm guessing, and tell me if I'm speaking out of turn, but in an environment where maybe people were not familiar with or welcoming to this new culture and cuisine that was being brought
Yeah.
into the big melting pot that is Israel. So I would love to hear a little bit about what it was like to be a fish out of water and how you all adjusted and brought your flavor to the country.
Yes. Because of the cold weather, I'm still crying. I'm not used to this weather, even though I've been for almost quarter of a century. But anyway, immigrating to Israel was very exciting. To be finally at this promised land, to be among our brothers and sisters. And of course, there were the challenges as well. I would say, we'll talk mainly about food. There was no access to ingredients. Many of you had Ethiopian food before. So no, so you are here for a treat to cook at home. So the main bread in order to serve Ethiopian food is injera. And injera is made from the grain called teff. Teff is a superpower grain, very small yet packed with nutrient, iron, and is gluten-free. How trendy, yeah? So that is our main staple to make injera bread. We arrive in Israel, there is no such thing. And people had to be resourceful to make injera from corn and bleached wheat flour, something they are never accustomed to, never ate. And that kind of led to a lot of health issues. Imagine you're eating gluten-free all your life. All of a sudden, you're eating something different. So that led to diabetic, high blood tension, and all of that stuff. Not only that, our Israeli neighbors complain about the fermentation. It's, to make a nice sour injera, you need to ferment your batter before sourdough. Ethiopia have done it for thousands of years. You have to ferment your injera, your batter. You take the flour.
It's delicious, by the way.
You have to try it. You ferment your batter for 3 to 5 days. It really depends on the season. And you make this delicious bread, which is bubbly, is soury, vinegary, but yet nutritious, and is your tool to pick up all the different stews. And within Ethiopia, is very, we are very communal way of eating, and you feed one another. So what you do, you take a morsel of food and you feed your loved ones to showcase love, respect, and friendship. So that access to making that injera was not possible. So they created from corn and thing. And even they went to that level of learning from their Yemenite neighbors because they immigrated to Israel a little bit before. So they made even lachuch, which is made from cornmeal and a little bit of corn flour. So, and to make berbere, I'll tell you this story. Berbere is the Ethiopian spice blend. Is the backbone of Ethiopian cooking. If you want to make a hearty, delicious, spicy, earthy stew, you will need onion, garlic, and ginger. You let it simmer for hours, and then you add the berbere, and you have a delicious kullet, silsi base where you can marinate your chicken, your fish, and what have you. And that actually is a whole process itself. So what would my mom do back in the days when we first arrived in Israel? They will dry the chili peppers, the onion, the garlic, and the neighbors will complain, what's going on? So many spices, so smelly. So, and that we had to adjust to that. But funny enough, to the point where as a kid, I didn't want to associate myself with Ethiopian food. It was too spicy, too smelly. I wanted to take schnitzel and falafel and what have you to school. I kind of ran away from it. But, somewhat you realize as you grow up, as I came to New York, that these particular flavors, these are my base, these are my foundation, this is who I am. And And now I am the ambassador, the spokesperson for for the delicious flavors of Ethiopia, African cuisine as a whole. Who knew?
It all comes back to that. I think what
Right.
you described, though, is so universal among immigrant children, where you get ridiculed for the food that your parents are feeding you, and then you
Yes.
try to distance yourself and eat the way, you know, the other kids around you are eating. Were there any foods that, beyond the schnitzel and the falafel, that your family embraced in the, you know, cuisine that they became a part of?
Yeah, for example, nobody really cooked with bouillon or chicken powder or what have you. And if you know Israeli cooking, we use a lot of bouillon and chicken powder in order to make this particular, if you want to make stew, all of that. So that's, if you try an Ethiopian Israeli chicken stew, doro, it might be different to what you used to make back in Ethiopia. So there are this adaptation and changes. Or for example, a lot of my aunties like to add to their cooking to balance the spiciness, date syrup or silan, stuff like that. So you adapt, you evolve. You're not necessarily forgetting your flavors. But you know, do you have Israeli kids, Ethiopian Israeli kids are born in Israel, they cannot tolerate all that spice. So you add maybe silan or sugar, something I never heard of to cook with sugar, but yet you do it because you adjust.
That's so interesting that you saw that all happening in real time, these
Yes.
adaptations. So I would love to fast forward to, you know, you're here now. You've been living here for more than 20 years?
Yes,
This
quarter of a
point?
century. Oh my God.
That I think we moved to New York at the same time then in 2000.
Yes.
Yes. So what propelled you to make yet another massive leap?
I always say I'm a wandering Jew. We like to wander and explore and discover. But what it is growing up in Israel, living in a kibbutz, when you turn 18, like a good Israeli, what do? You serve in the army. Right after the army, you go travel. You take a backpack and you become a wandering Jew on your own term. And I came to the Americas. So my first encounter was New York City. Loved what I saw. Wanted to be part of it. Didn't know when and how, but I traveled, encountered with many indigenous people, the Mayas, the Incas, Machu Picchu, you name it. Even learn a little bit of Spanish, which is helping me now. So when I finished with my travels, went back to Israel after a couple of years, New York kept calling me. And that's what happened, basically. Came, wanted to do something. I didn't know what exactly. Wanted to find a belonging, a place. You know, what do you do the first time? You go to a synagogue on a Friday night. You go to a synagogue, and then they ask you, so are you Jewish? And here you go. You need to explain yourself. And we came to the point where we were a couple of friends that went through the whole process of born in Ethiopia, growing up in Israel, and coming here to New York, finding a belonging. We didn't find that, so we created a space called being a cultural foundation, Beta Israel of North America Cultural Foundation, a cultural organization to empower and educate about Jewish diversity, doing Shabbat dinners, lectures, just to show that the fabric of New York or Jewish diaspora is a lot more than what you grow up with and what you know. And I would say there is a great change and evolution since then. I think the understanding and welcoming of Jewish people from all diaspora is a lot more open to what used to be 25 years ago. And that kind of led as well to the question of what is Ethiopian Jewish food? And I always say Ethiopian Jewish food is very ancient than anything else. We go to the back to the time of something. Is everybody okay? To the time of Esau and Jacob. One example. within Ethiopian Jewish, comfort food is, for example, misirwat. If you had Ethiopian food, the red lentil stew is beloved, is comfort, is packed with protein. Uh, and we cook that with berbere. It's a long simmer, it's delicious. And I brought in Jacob and Esau. In the Bible and in the book of Genesis, if you know the story, Esau was a hunter in the field. Esau is staying Jacob at home, studying, whatever. Jacob was cooking a red lentil stew that day, and Esau smells this delicious aromas of berbere, cardamom, coriander, and he was famished and hungry. It's like, may I have from that delicious red stew of yours? Tell me adoma ze. And here Jacob says, what is it for me? Why would I give you any of that? It's my food. I'm going to keep it for myself. And Esau says, I'm going to give you my birthright. I'm willing to batter for my birthright. Back in the days, birthright, you have access to everything. You are the first born, you get access to the land, everything else. So he gave his birthright. And if many of you know the story, we are in conflict because of those red lentil stew, but no politics. But that's Jewish food for me. That is the comfort food that was brought up on, going back to ancient times.
I love hearing you talk because it really does feel like a connection straight to, any stories that people like me who went to Hebrew school might have heard that feel like they're, apocryphal. And for you, you're like, no, I eat that soup every day. That's the stew that I grew up eating. That's, I think that connection to the ancient heritage is so unique. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about this Berbere base. You know that my background is food writing, I wonder if you all would be interested too. I mean, I think I have an understanding of what it is, but can you tell us more about the spices, and are they like infused in like an oil or a butter? Like, how does it work?
So berbere is basically a spice blend, is a powder. Actually, there is a whole recipe how to make your own signature berbere blend. So the main is chili pepper. If you don't want it to be that spicy, you can do paprika or smoked paprika. On top of it, you're going to add ginger, garlic, cardamom, coriander, cinnamon, and many more that I probably forgot all the names. So you sift all of those ingredients together, and you have this very red, rich, aromatic, yet could be spicy spice blend that you can literally do anything with. You can rub your fish, your chicken. You can make a nice simmer stew, and even drizzle as a salt seasoning. Is earthy, is delicious, and each one of you can create their own unique signature berbere spice. If you're allergic to any particular ingredients, you can omit that and add a little bit more from whatever ingredients you like. But as long as you have about those 18, 17 ingredients, you have this unique flavor, which is rich in flavors and and is earthy.
I hope you just make it and sell it in the supermarket so that we don't have to make it ourselves.
Well, there is this option. You can order berbere spice from Tsion Café, and you can go and be a little bit more adventurous and make it at home. Why not? So either way, I want to give you this introduction. Try something. Don't be intimidated. Okay, if you don't want to make the berbere, yet try to make some new dish. Bring it to your household. Introduce different flavor to your household. I think the more we are open to engage and learn about different ethnic groups and cultures and heritage and cuisines, we are more likely to accept one another and celebrate one another.
Amen. And it's no hardship because the food's really delicious. So I'd love a recommendation if any of us is opening the book for the first time and maybe feels comfortable in the kitchen but hasn't had a lot of exposure to cooking Ethiopian food. Is there a beginner recipe or two that you think is a good place to start?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say this. If you can read, you can cook. You can follow the instruction. Beside that, let's say if you don't, I created that as a building blocks. If you don't want to get involved with the spices, you can make very straightforward yet simple dishes such as the cabbage, carrots, and potatoes. The only spice you may need is the turmeric. I don't remember all the numbers and pages. Unfortunately,
I see you pointing to the book, so you can keep it. And
Yeah.
if you want to share, feel
but
free.
that is a very simple. What you do is you take garlic, onion, and ginger, you saute it, and you add a little bit of turmeric, okay? And then you add your carrots and potatoes because they need to be a little bit softer. And at the end, you add your cabbage. Here you go. You have a delicious Ethiopian cabbage, which is seasonal, hardy. You can use it as a side dish. And if you want to jazz it up, add a little bit of jalapeno, and of course, salt and pepper. That's the Ethiopian beloved comfort food, and we all love cabbage. So you can do that.
I will make this. And you know what's crazy, BJ?
Uh-huh.
I always ahead of the trend you are. Apparently, this is the year of the cabbage, according to Vogue.
Oh. I love it.
It's like, who knew? But I mean, clearly you've been doing this for much longer than Vogue declared 2026 the year of the cabbage. I don't really know what to make of that, but it seemed too good not to share.
But funny enough, there are two types of cabbage too. So you can make one a little bit of flavorful. So this is called Yetikal Gomen Alicha Kaulo. Music in your mouth. Cabbage with potatoes and carrots.
Yum.
You can do it. Or another beloved dish that is very much Ethiopian than anything else is the kikalicha, yellow split pea. Again, the turmeric. Every time you have turmeric in your cooking, which means is alicha, is non-spicy. If you want a little bit of spice, you add, jalapeno. But this is very simple. You got this. And of course, braised beets and a lot of delicious vegetables. That is not that complicated.
No, we joke about it with, sourdough having been part of your cuisine for, thousands of years.
Yes.
Alternative, quote unquote, grains, also cornerstone of Ethiopian cuisine. Cabbage, we all, many cultures have embraced cabbage, but it's never been the star of the plate until this year. But I really do appreciate, pulses, lentils, beans. I remember, I think it was like the UN, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, declared the year of the pulses, I think probably to encourage people to eat more carbon neutral foods and not so much meat. But that's really taken hold. But it's all here.
Yes.
It's like locked into your heritage, and just now we're rediscovering it, but it's really just what you've always what you were raised on, what you grew up on, and I love that.
Yeah, that's the food that sustained us through millennia, through our journey, and yet we are here providing you the opportunity to take part in it. And it's very much seasonal than anything else as well.
Yeah, like the cabbage sounds perfect for right now. I would love to hear a little more as we have made our way into Harlem. We talked a bit about some of the American influences on the menu at Tsion Café. So you have like your lox and scrambled eggs on injera bread. And cocktails, you said, were an American innovation for you, having cocktails on the menu. Can you tell us a little bit more? That's very interesting to me.
Yeah, or desserts as well. Within Ethiopian culture or African period cuisine, we do not have desserts. You do not need sugary dessert at the end of it. You're going to be so filled and nourished. You might have coffee afterwards, or tea, or dry fruits. And cocktails is definitely some new addition. To my cookbook or Tsion Café. I wanted, since we have a little bit of alcohol within Ethiopian tradition, which is the mead, the honey wine, and I wanted to elevate that, to introduce something fresh, very New York and chic, to the point where we did the Red Fox, the Kaffa Martini, which is coffee martini, espresso martini. But the reason behind it actually is because Ethiopia is the birthplace of coffee. It comes from the region of Kaffa. It was very important for me to introduce and incorporate that to the menu and to the whole of a Tsion Café identity. So as we grow and come to a new land, new country, we always borrow something new to elevate of who we are. It doesn't mean we are dismissing our base, our foundation. And it doesn't mean we are letting go of you are. You're just adding an addition. It's transformation. It's evolution. And Jews throughout the world, throughout the diaspora, we borrow, we elevate it, and we add to what we know. And this is Jewish world food diaspora. We come from all parts of the world, and there is no way of categorizing Jewish food is this. Jewish food is injera. Jewish food is lox. Jewish food is gefilte fish. This is the Jewish world. We are diverse, we embrace, and we want to welcome everybody to engage in this beautiful culture of Gursha, of feeding, nourishing, educating one another.
And in Harlem, so interestingly, it's almost like a meeting of the African diaspora and the Jewish diaspora. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I recall in some of our earlier conversations, when you spent more time in Harlem, I think that currently there are like many thriving African immigrant communities, but you also encountered an older history of Jewish immigrant movement to Harlem that I think came and went more or less by the time you had moved there.
Sure. I would say as a Black, Jewish, Harlemite, New Yorker, all these identities, I embrace them, I celebrate them. The Ethiopia-Harlem connection, for example, goes to the 1808, where free African-American and Ethiopian sea merchants that came to New York formed this particular church, Baptist church called Abyssinian. I'm sure many of you heard. And that been a symbol of resistance and empowerment throughout the Harlem history. And that is literally the influence of Ethiopia. As well, the Ethiopia-Harlem connection is 1935, for example, throughout the Great Depression, when Mussolini tried to invade Ethiopia. As you may know, Ethiopia had never been colonized. We take big pride in that. But yet, Mussolini tried to invade Ethiopia for the second time in 1935, and over 20,000 Harlemites during the Great Depression went out and demonstrated not to go and do that, and even wanted to enlist and go and help Ethiopia, like the Brown Condor, John Charles Robinson. He was a pilot that enlisted in the Emperor's Air Force. That is the connection, and all of that is because Ethiopia is seen as a beacon of the African nation, never been colonized, and so there is a great pride and association with that. For me, as an Ethiopian Jewish woman, Black woman, being in Harlem and knowing this history, it gave me a great pride, and learning about Jimmy's Chicken Shack. What a great honor. How can I continue that connection and nourishing and kind of riding on that wave and embrace those identity, and eventually open Tsion Café, have it a place where all people, Black, Jewish, white, anybody that want to eat, want to engage is welcome. So we have doing that for 11 years. And I think at the end of the day, we all love to eat, congregate delicious food, nourish our mind, and open our hearts. So that's the Harlem, Ethiopia connection.
And your restaurant has been there for 11 years, which, by the way, is a really big deal in New York. because restaurants open. You guys probably, I mean, everyone here is a local. It's like, it's so sad. You see a restaurant open on the corner one day and 3 months later it's gone. It's so difficult to have that longevity. So, you know, you're not a newcomer anymore. You're an old timer yourself already.
Yes, funny enough, we kind of pivoted quite a few times. Right now, we are in a phase of not doing the traditional dining in, more focusing on an immersive cultural experience. Is through RSVP and what have you. People will come, 20, 30 people, group of people, and they will be immersed on the culture, history, tradition, and food, doing coffee ceremonies. So we are kind of pivoting to that. Since myself, I'm busy on traveling and lecturing and talking about Ethiopian Jewish culture, I want to be present there. So we have dedicated times and days that we can have those experiences. So Tsion Café is no longer the traditional dining in, but you're more than welcome to be part of a group and do cultural immersion at 763 St. Nicholas Avenue. We're still there.
So when is your next event so we can sign up?
Well, we currently doing a lot of catering and what have you. As you may see from this event, Thursday I'm going to Poughkeepsie. I'm on a road a lot. Nothing is really fully, with dates. But once we have everything in line, we'll put it on the website and people can register, RSVP, and really have a nice immersion going from coffee ceremony to historical talk, menu tasting, and all of that.
Wonderful. Well, I wish you the best of luck with this latest iteration.
Yes.
And now would be a great time to open up to questions in the audience.
Oh, I have a question. What distinguishes Jewish Ethiopian cuisine from other Ethiopian cuisine?
What distinguishes? Okay, first of
what
all,
makes it Jewish?
first of all, the fact that a Jewish person is cooking it, that's you. You simple, right? But yet, Ethiopian in general is very much Hebraic than anything else. What I mean by that is, an Ethiopian Orthodox person, they would not eat pork. They will observe the Shabbat and they would do Brit Milah, circumcision. So the influence of the Hebrew tradition is there. And on top of it, Christianity came to Ethiopia only on the 4th century. So as I indicated earlier, my ancestors, my parents, are the descendant of Moses. And we've been there for thousands of years. So that make it very Hebraic, Jewish, if you wish, than anything else. And on top of it, we spoke about the red lentil stew, which is very Hebrew, ancient. So that's the Jewish connection. But what makes it Jewish is the dietary law. As long as you don't use pork or you don't mix dairy and meat, that make it Jewish and kosher.
Just curious, is teff grown in Israel now?
Yeah, they're experimenting in Rehovot, Weizmann, there is a whole agriculture lab. But they're working on it. And here in the US is mainly grown in Minnesota. Minnesota, oh gosh.
We have some questions up front.
I think they do. I'm not sure. I'm not expert on their cuisine, but they have something similar to injera. As you may know, the Horn of Africa, we are all interconnected and influenced by one another.
And just for the home audience, the question was, do Somalis use teff? And hello, home audience. I meant to say hello at the very beginning. I'm glad you're with us.
I was wondering, is your restaurant ever going to go back to traditional in-dining service anytime soon?
We will explore that possibility. We always try different innovative way to sustain ourselves. We'll see. You never know.
What does Gursha mean? You used the term before, and it's the name of your book.
Yes. So as you see in the picture, I try to shine light on that particular nourishing bite. So you literally take a piece of injera, you put a little bit of chicken, you put a little bit of lentil, cabbage, and you make a nice bite, a nice morsel. And that particular one, that is a gursha. The nourishment, the feeding, that's gursha. So gursha, gursha, gursha. Check out that scene on Simpsons. Bert finally find out about Ethiopian food, so it's a whole excitement in his mouth. So that's gursha. Yeah, the Simpsons, I think they brought it. I don't recall what year, but it was lovely to see that.
Funny. I have a question. Is injera kosher for Passover?
Well, actually not. You're not, anything that is fermented over 18 minutes is not kosher for Pesach. But you actually can make matzah from teff, and there is a whole recipe for it, and it's gluten-free, and it's not hard. And as you may know from Manischewitz and all of that, you can make it on a daily basis fresh for Passover, and it's packed with nutrient.
I see a future for you in selling your food in a supermarket. I'm just waiting. And maybe it's my own laziness, but can we please have fresh matzah, please?
Just tell me, give me the order, and we'll execute it. Passover is around the corner. It's not that hard.
I think, did you have one of you?
Yeah.
It's more of a comment that I'm really bummed. I was all set. We were all set to go have dinner at Tsion Café, and you. So please consider, we're doing it. Oy vey is right.
Well, it sounds like if you all gather your resources and all become friends, then BJ can cater your.
Right, we go to an event. Okay.
Yeah, she can cater. You all have to exchange numbers after this.
Yes, that's the whole intention.
Yes.
Let's do gursha. Meet your friend, your neighbor. Let's engage. Let's be open. Nothing be scared of.
It's been delightful. I'm going to look for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
About Marcus Samuelson. He's a neighbor of yours in Harlem?
Yes, he is in Harlem.
And he's Ethiopian.
He's an Ethiopian, yes.
So
that's it.
I just wonder about your cuisines. Have you shared?
We all have different stories and journeys. He might be Ethiopian, but I have a different perspective of my life and story and the recipes and tradition. Yeah, that's what I can say. Right.
Good evening. I was just wondering, having lived in Ethiopia and Israel, what culinary tradition surprised you the most in the U.S., and which one did you find reminiscent of things that you knew from your own?
Surprising? Okay. For example, I can give you one example. With my cooking or Ethiopian cooking or the way we cooked in Israel, we cook a lot of collard greens. People consider it as a South black food or something of that nature. It's beloved comfort food within Ethiopian culture. So, for example, what I saw here is people will get rid of the stem, right? Use only the leafy aspect of it. Actually, you're missing the whole nutrient. So you want to cut the stem and have a crunchy aspect within your braised collard green. Stuff like that. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? Stuff like those things are surprising. You're literally getting of the best part of it. Yeah, that's just a simple anecdote of that.
It's a great question.
So I first have a comment and then I have a question. I walked into the library just the other day and I saw this book on the stands and I started to check it out, but then I was like, let me just peruse through this and read this. And then I love these recipes. I can see myself making this food. And I don't know why I almost feel like crying, but my mother, she had a collection of cookbooks and she passed them down to me. And I hope to pass this down to my family as well. And then I started to order the book on Amazon. I was like, there's no way I'm just going to check this book out. I got to buy this book. And then something went wrong with the order. Then I came in another day, and I saw that you were going to come and speak today.
Oh.
And so I was like, I'm sure they're going to have some books. And I hope eventually to get your autograph. You're not obliged to do that. But
I shall. I will.
But I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to just hear your story and to hear the love that you've put into making this book. And I'm just grateful that you decided to do that. So just from a practical standpoint, where can I go? What stores in New York City at least, or even DC? Because I know there's like a strong Ethiopian community in DC. Do you know of any great stores to get some of these ingredients? Especially the ones that like Whole Foods is not going to sell, or maybe they're not going to sell a great version of it.
Ingredients. Okay, so majority that red lentil, the split pea, you can find it at any Indian store. Majority of the spices as well, Indian grocery stores. There is a lot of parallel and similarities with the cooking with Indian. So you don't need to go Whole Food. That guy have enough money. Save it. And on top of it, you can create your own spices. So this way you don't need, the only thing you need is that those like the meat, chicken, and I'm sure you have your own places that you can get. And beside that, thank you for you being so persistent and coming. And what drew you to that? Is it the image or the colors?
So I mean, I happen to be Christian. I'm a person of faith.
Uh-huh.
And I just, it was this gut feeling. It was open that book. And I've actually never purchased a cookbook.
Wow, I'm breaking the record.
Yeah, I've never purchased a cookbook. I was like, I just need to read through these recipes, and a lot of these are very practical. I've had Ethiopian food before, and certainly haven't tried all of these dishes in here, but to be able to just try it out, kind of like what you said, I think that's one thing that's really great about cooking is that even mid-recipe, you start to get creative, and that's sort of the beauty of it.
Right.
And so I could see myself maybe starting off with the recipe as you have written it, but then maybe I smell something midway, and I say, okay, I'm going to change this up. So I'm just really excited to just engage it, and it's just going to be, in a plastic coating in the kitchen.
Nice. The book is written for people like you. That's wonderful. Take it, fly with it, change, tweak, claim it as your own. Enjoy.
Your comment and what you shared just gave me chills, and it's so beautiful. And I don't think any of you are going to top that, so maybe it's a wrap. Thank you so much, Beejhy. Thank you for coming, everyone. It was a great night.